Hey, it's Scott Todd, and in today's video, I want to talk to you about tackling too many projects. It happens to all of us. We have the best of intention. We want to do all of these things. We have so much we want to accomplish. We've got this project and that project and this project and that project. We got too many projects. And then what happens is we barely accomplish any of them. If we do, we feel overwhelmed. Our anxiety goes up. Our stress goes up. We're not as happy as we could be. Why? Because we're trying to take on too much? Maybe. Look, I read a study this week that really you should work hard to limit your projects to five projects. And I'm not talking about sub projects. I'm just talking about managing 5 projects at any one time. Maybe it's building your business, or maybe it's a project within building your business, or maybe it's a home improvement project, or name it. How many things are you juggling out there, or how many things do you need to do? Maybe it's you pulling together the data for your taxes. Maybe that's a project, even though it's due in a couple days. Whatever it is, each one of these things can be treated as its own individual project. And then what some people do is they start to feel overwhelmed, because what they do is they start to list out all of the things like, oh, I got to do this and I got to do that and I got to do this and I got to do that. Think of a vacation, for example. You start to think about all the things you need to do to plan a vacation and all the places that you want to go. And all of a sudden you have this whole laundry list of things that need to get done. And you know what? It's very overwhelming. It creates anxiety. And whenever our bodies is feeling a high level of anxiety and we have too many things going on in our brain, there's a tendency to shut down. We just don't want to go do any of it because there's too much going on. So I want to challenge you. What if you approached these projects differently? What if you said, hey, listen, I'm only going to focus on 5 projects at any one time. For me, maybe it's like getting my instrument certification or instrument rating for flying. That's one project. Or maybe another project is, something within my business. Or maybe the third project is, I don't know, the taxes that I just mentioned. There's all of these different things. But if you just limit yourself to 5 projects, and then you can create a laundry list if you want of the steps that you need to do in each one of those projects. But I don't want you to worry about those. What I want you to focus on is the very next step in every one of those projects. Think about it. Just if you put on a high level, on a piece of paper, high level, the 5 projects, and then right below it, just put in the next step, the next one step for each one of those projects. Now all of a sudden you have clarity. It's clarity that you didn't have in the past. You have clarity of what needs to be done next. You have clarity of, okay, I now know I've completed that task. What's next? Because ideally what would happen is you would know, all you got to do is identify the very next step. Boom, this is the next step. Boom, this is the next step. And you're always just focusing and doing the next step. When you get done with it, great, move on to the next step. And it brings this whole system that I'm talking about, brings clarity to the things that you need to do. It allows you to bring to life the visions and the goals that you want to accomplish, all by simply focusing on 5 tasks and always on the next step. When I worked over at my corporate gig, we had a process in place for bringing on new projects. We only had a certain number of slots for new projects, kind of like what I'm talking about now, but it was much more than 5. We only had a certain number of projects because that's all the bandwidth could support. So what would happen is before we took on any more projects, they would go into the wait list. Like, that's the 1-day project, but it's not right now. And then when a slot opened up on the stuff that we were working on, we would choose the highest priority project and move it over and plug it into the actual project list. So I want to encourage you, think about how you can implement that in your own life. One of the ways that I do it is I use a free software called Trello, Trello.com. And in Trello, you can make all these cool cards. You go check it out. But you've got you can literally create your 5 cards up at the top of what the projects are. And underneath each one of them, you can identify subcards, if you will, of the next step. And then when you get done with that step, boom, you just delete it and you can keep adding to the list and reprioritizing. But now you have this visual image of these 5 cards or these 5 projects and the next step for all of them. Take a look at it. Think about how you can implement this in your business. Think about how you can implement it in your life. I know it will help you to bring clarity and help you keep moving forward, which is the most important thing, and to stop becoming overwhelmed. Look, hopefully this video was helpful to you. I appreciate you watching. Wherever you're watching this, scroll down, leave a comment. Did it help you? And if so, are you implementing it? Are you using what I recommended? Or are you doing something different? Tell me what you're using. I'd like to see your process for dealing with your projects, and are you limiting it to 5? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.